Hello everyone and welcome to yet another review. This has been a crazy busy weekend and I'm seeing an early access screening of Red 1 tomorrow, so expect a review for that as well. So this is a post-apocalyptic creature feature, much like A Quiet Place. I've seen so many people compare this to A Quiet Place and call it a ripoff of that film. And no doubt we've seen a lot of movies take the concept from that film, alter it a little bit, and give us essentially more monster B movies such as Arcadian, Azrael, The Silence, Bird Box, The Tomorrow War, the list goes on and on. But truthfully, I like B movies, I like monster movies, so as long as they're well made and at least put some sort of a spin on the genre, I'm happy to see more of them. In Elevation, the spin is that the monsters come from not the skies, but below our feet. About 3 years before the events of the movie, they arose from the ground, killed off 95% of the population, and the surviving humans have created safe havens in the Rocky Mountains because the creatures, which they refer to as Reapers, will not venture above the 8,000-foot elevation mark. Our lead character, Will, played by Anthony Mackie, must leave the safety of this community with two other survivors in order to gather urgent medical supplies for his son and hopefully discover a way to beat their seemingly unkillable enemies. I had remarkably low expectations for this film because the trailer didn't do much for me. It's low budget, and director George Nulfeed doesn't really have much experience outside of screenwriting. To give due credit, I think this film actually has a couple of really effective set pieces, one of which is set at an abandoned ski resort on a chairlift. Another is set in the darkness of an abandoned mine. Very claustrophobic. I think the lighting was well utilized. There are some great drone shots in here too for some of the outdoor exterior shots. As the characters navigate towards Boulder Hospital, which is their destination, they must periodically venture below that 8,000-foot threshold, which, by the way, is somehow marked in every direction. Like, who had the time and resources to do this, and how did they not die in the process? The film also has a few creative gimmicks, such as a method that the creatures use to track humans, and that is the CO2 that is exhaled when we breathe. One of the other survivors, Nina, played by Marina Baccarin, is a scientist, and she's designed a device that can detect the monsters at a half-a-mile distance via their electromagnetic signal. I like these details. That's unfortunately where my positives end, and it's a shame because I think this showed a lot of promise, and it's a well-made film, but the script from Kenny Ryan and Jacob Roman is bad. First and foremost, Will, our lead character, is a nothing burger, and if you don't have a strong lead character, or at least one that I can connect to in some way, of course your movie's going to fall flat no matter what else you have going on in the backdrop. The only characteristics that we learn about this guy are that he has a son with a completely undisclosed medical condition which requires them to get these supplies. I don't think they ever tell us what he has and what they need to give him. And second, he has a dead wife who ventured out of the safe zone and died because of it. It's brushed upon a couple of times, but it doesn't add much depth to him, especially when, and I hate to say this, but Anthony Mackie's performance is subpar. He seems like he was sleeping his way through this film. Nina and Katie are the other two survivors that he's traveling with. They are unbearable. They spend their entire screen time together arguing, complaining about one another, and refusing to work towards any kind of common goal. It is so aggravating that at a certain point I was just hoping the monsters would come and kill them so I wouldn't have to listen to their nails on a chalkboard dialogue any longer. I mean, why do writers feel the need to make characters this unlikable? The characters also make a ridiculous amount of dumb decisions, and characters split up, fail to communicate basic things that could have helped their situation. I lost count of the number of times that characters were in peril and were saved by last-minute actions of somebody else. The monster design is pretty bland. It's just another fast-moving behemoth with a bunch of extra limbs and large toothy jaws. And mild spoiler incoming, but we never learn why they stop at 8,000 feet specifically. That's a pretty specific threshold. Nina is a scientist, so in addition to getting to the hospital, they're also trying to get to the lab where she worked as a physicist because she was close at one point to a breakthrough in discovering the chink in their armor because they have tough scales that can't be penetrated by bullets. And eventually the film does reveal some details about the monsters to the characters, and they somehow make the setup with the elevation thing that that one weakness that they have make even less sense. The ending is strangely tepid and just leaves you with nothing to chew on. It's such a bland, sterile, safe script. I suppose it's well directed and has some adequate tension throughout, but I could not stand the wooden, cheesy writing that gives this the feel of a Sci-Fi Channel original. Overall, I think it's a waste of time. I'm gonna give Elevation 2 stars. I think it wastes a lot of potential, but if you do have the misfortune of seeing it, please let me know in the comments what you think of it. And be sure to hit that like button and subscribe while you're at it if you want more content like this. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.